Hi, my name is Matthew Drury. I'm the author of the Streets of Rage Saga novel series, fan novels, and you're listening to the Sega Lounge.
Welcome to the Sega Lounge, where we celebrate our love for all things Sega, including the games, the music, and the community. I'm your host, KC. Join me as I talk to different guests and learn more about their projects and passion for Sega. Hello there, loungers! Welcome to another episode of the Sega Lounge, episode 226. Welcome, I hope everyone's doing well. And before we get started with this week's interview and talking about this week's guest, I just wanted everyone to remember that we have a website, thesegalounge.com. So if you've missed some of the previous content that we put out, not only this year, this season, but in previous years as well, you can just go to thesegalounge.com and listen back to everything over there. You can browse through guests, through episodes, through categories, and you can find every episode of the show's history over there. Or, you can also use your podcatcher of choice, including our friends over at terraplayer.com, where all of our episodes are available in audio form as well. Just a little different of a mention this week in terms of where you can find us. Reminder that we also have a YouTube channel. So I've been trying to, and trying is the keyword here, to put out some more video content. So every single audio episode of the show goes to our YouTube channel now. It's our RSS feed is linked to our YouTube channel. But from time to time, I also post full video versions of our episodes, just like the ones that we do live, like last week's 225. We did that Banana Rumble episode. That's in video form on our YouTube channel. And also, I've been putting out some shorter clips of previous episodes for people to enjoy, like more digestible clips of previous interviews, of previous shows. So if you're interested in that, just head over to youtube.com/@thesegalounge. That's actually the proper link, youtube.com/@thesegalounge. And that's where you can find our video content as well as our audio podcasts as well. And with that little reminder at the beginning of the show, let's talk about this week's guest, shall we? Over the course of our lives as Sega fans, and fans of maybe other things as well, we probably came across fan fiction. Some of you have maybe even partaken in writing your own fan fiction. But I would argue that neither of us is as passionate about fan fiction, about writing about their favorite Sega franchise as Matthew Drury, this week's guest. Matthew's been working on his Streets of Rage Saga fan novels for almost 30 years now, and he's been a long-time Sega and Streets of Rage fan, and has been expanding this universe, the Streets of Rage universe, with more and more novels and more chapters in his story. So he's here to talk about how that all happened and where you can find his works as well. Hi, Matt. Welcome to the Sega Lounge. Really nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming.
Privilege.
Oh, my pleasure and my privilege to have you here. We'll talk a little bit about your projects, or should I say projects, plural, right? But we'll
I've had a few.
Yeah. But let's start from the very beginning, Matt. So anytime anyone comes on the show, I usually start by asking, how did you get into video games? And since this is a Sega-themed show, not just video games, but also along the way, how did you discover Sega as well?
Wow. Well, when I was a little kid, I think the earliest video game thing we had was it was a Commodore 16, and we had like a black and white TV to play these little games on. But then I remember we were around somebody's house, friends of my parents, and their son had a Mega Drive, and they were playing Sonic on it, and I remember thinking it looked really, really good. And then I think we must have probably that Christmas '91 got a Mega Drive with Sonic 1 in the box,
Mm-hmm.
and my love for it was pretty much born right there. I was a huge Sonic fan. All through the Mega Drive years, into the Saturn and Dreamcast, and ever since. But we had a few games. At first, we had the Spider-Man, we had the Super Thunderblade, I think it's called.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember going into a branch of Dixon's, the local game shop, and they had Streets of Rage 2 playing on the attract mode or whatever. And the guy in the store let us have a go on it, and it just seemed so cool, the music. And I got a copy of the second game, and ever since then I've just loved Streets of Rage. It's been my favorite game ever since, I think.
Okay.
Probably always will be.
Interesting. The second one specifically.
The second one, well, I like all of them, but there's so much history to it. Like, I remember, I absolutely love the second one. Who doesn't? And when I heard there was a third one coming out, I saw the previews in the magazines, and I was reading the Sonic comic at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And, they had Streets of Rage material in there, and I managed to get a copy of it. I was able to get a copy of Streets of Rage 3, or I think it was my 13th birthday. And that was the game, like, because the story in it was just so bizarre and weird with all the robots, and it was so different from the second game. But for some reason, like, I was fascinated by the idea of Mr. X, being a brain in a jar, and the final fight in that game is Robot Y. And he's kind of controlling their robot with his consciousness, and I thought that was like a really cool idea. And at the time, there was like Golden Axe, Road Rash, I think Desert Strike came as little books on the front of a SEGA Power magazine in the UK, and I had a couple of those, and I really wanted them to do a Streets of Rage one, but they never did. So. I just started doing it.
Okay. Yeah, and we'll get into that as well. So I know this is a hard question. Of course it is. But if you had to just pick one as your favorite out of the whole series, I mean, whole series, like, looks like that, like 10 games or anything. But out of the 4, if you had to pick just one as your favorite, as your all-time favorite.
That's tough, since we got that new one. I'll probably say 2. Mm-hmm. It's got to be 2.
Okay.
Because it's just, everything about it is perfect. It's like a 100% perfect game.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good.
The fourth one does do improvements, but it does lack some of the stuff from the third game, like the rolling and the running for all of the characters.
Okay.
So it is kind of a toss-up between 2 and 4, but I think for me personally, the second one, just because it was the one, I had when I was a kid, and it's the one everybody wants to replicate, I think, if they're doing sequels or rehashes or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays.
It's like the gold standard, right? Yeah.
It's one of the best games on there.
On the console,
no doubt.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I have I've told this countless times here on the show, but I have a really soft spot for Streets of Rage 1, purely for nostalgia reasons, because it was the game that out of the 3, I mean, I think now I've played 2 more than the other ones. I'm talking about the classic ones, the Mega Drive ones. But
Yeah.
back in the day, 1 was the one that I played the most, and one of the like 2 or 3 games that I ever played with my dad, because he wasn't really into video games. But for some reason, we played Streets of Rage 1 together co-op. And that's still a memory that I have, and probably that's one of the reasons why I still love the first one so much. It's also a little bit easier, perhaps, and I suck at games, so there's that as well.
You think the first one's easier than the second one?
I think so, isn't it? No,
Interesting.
I don't know.
I think it's more difficult than the second one, to be honest.
I don't know.
I didn't play the first one until I think that was the second one I played, because I played the second one first and then loved it, and so I found the first one after that.
Mm-hmm.
That was before the third one came out, I'm pretty sure. It's a long time ago.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I think it's easier, but maybe it's just the fact that I was more used to it, and I know it a little bit better. Maybe
that's actually the best.
Yeah.
I think the music in the first game it's iconic.
Yeah.
Every track good.
That's I don't know if that's like a hot take, but I am of the same opinion as well regarding the soundtrack. Yeah.
The second one is incredible.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know. I nowadays when I'm re-listening to them, I'm always listening to the first one most of the time.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. Okay, so we've pretty much established that you're a big, huge Streets of Rage fan. Also a big Sonic fan as well. You said. Any other Sega franchises that you like still love to this day, or maybe in the past you were a big fan of?
I liked Golden Axe.
Mm-hmm.
That was cool. I wasn't so obsessed with that one. What else did I used to play? Let's see. I liked playing Thunder Force 4. That was good.
Great soundtrack as well.
That's not really Sega though, I guess.
It is now. It is now. They've acquired everything, so yeah.
I liked. Gosh, I've played so many games. I've liked most Sega stuff really.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had a lot of games at one point. I was collecting it when I was in my early 20s. Yeah, I had a huge stack, taking up a quarter of my bedroom at the time of games.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, did you make the move from the Mega Drive to the Saturn, or?
I did actually. Yeah, I actually got a Sega Saturn. It was a couple of years after it had come out, I think, and they were selling it for cheaper because I guess it wasn't getting as many sales. We all know that story. But I did get one, yeah, and I got Sonic Jam, and Athlete Kings, Sega Rally.
Mm-hmm.
I think I had Virtua Fighter 2 on it.
Okay.
Yeah, that was almost 30 years ago now.
Yeah. It's like, no, the Saturn is actually 30 this year. Turns 30 this year, so that's.
By the time the Dreamcast came out, I was old enough to actually buy it myself, and that's what I did. It's one of the first things I bought when I actually got a job of my own, at school.
Same.
And I remember getting that day one.
Awesome.
$9.99.
So you were in the US at that time already then?
No, I was still living in the UK.
Okay.
I lived there until 2012.
Okay.
So Sega was long gone by.
Okay. Yeah, but like you were saying, unfortunately, no Streets of Rage on the Dreamcast, which is a shame.
No, yeah, I waited.
Yeah.
We all waited for a long time.
Right. Okay, Matt. So we'll talk about your experience writing, doing what you never found in that bookstore. Like there were no Streets of Rage stories there, but did you? How did you get into writing? Was that always like a hobby for you? Something that from an early age you did, or you
I think
dabbled
just
in?
from an early age, I just
No.
enjoyed like creative writing because I remember at school in like uh, just like rough paper and stuff, would just write, just make stuff up, just writing tales about someone's adventure going through the underworld or whatever,
Hmm.
just for fun. And I remember doing, I remember I used to draw I used to draw Sonic comics at school, just with a pen, and just because I wasn't terrible at drawing Sonic and Tails. So yeah, I would do that at school, and that was fun. And my friends at school used to like enjoy reading it because I used to read comics and stuff. Like I used to read the Beano,
Okay.
old kids UK comic, and yeah, and I got into Sonic the comic once that started coming out. And yeah, it wasn't, I was only about 13, I think, when I started writing that Streets of Rage series. So yeah, it's been most of my life at this point.
Okay. So you started a long time ago then. So it's like something that you started as a hobby, obviously, at first. Right.
Yeah, I was just doing it as a hobby. I had just like a book I bought in a store of lined paper, and I remember doing it in pen, one of my pens I was using for my high school work. And yeah, I remember I filled up one and then I got into like a second one. I think that's where I got to with that because I wrote kind of the first story when I was about 13. I think I finished it. I was about 15. It took a while. I was just doing it in my spare time for fun, and it wasn't even very good at the time. Over the years, I've like tried to rework that story in order to make it more kind of more mature and palatable
Hmm.
to someone actually coming to it as a Streets of Rage fan instead of it just being their like mind canon. But so yeah, at the time it was pretty crude, and I was 15, and I stopped working on them for years after that because teenager, and the PlayStation had become popular and Sega wasn't cool anymore, and Streets of Rage was forgotten about by everyone. So because I had the idea of doing it all the way up to the brain in the jar robot Y thing at the end of the third game, but I didn't get that far. I didn't go back to it until I think I was 23. I was living in my own apartment flat at that point, and I was a bit more mature in my mind, and so that's when I started doing the second one.
Okay. What made you come back to that? Because you started in 1995, right? That's when you started doing,
Yeah, 95. It
right,
was about
95.
97, I guess, when I finished it, and
Okay.
then yeah, because like a couple of years later, the internet was like very young at that point, and there were like news
Hmm.
groups. I remember going on ones alt.sega.genesis, and all these old things where people would just be able to converse about Sega and stuff, not like it is today.
Hmm.
And I, there was Streets of Rage fans on there, and one of them was Johnny Houston, and he made a website, Streets of Rage Online, and he put my novel on there as a download, and it just got people talking about it, and people kind of liked it, which I thought was kind of cool at the time. And so I don't know, because I've always been naturally someone who likes to tell stories, and that's the story I always wanted to tell to finish. But I guess I just felt at that point old enough and just ready to do it, and so I just went back to it because I just love it so much. I feel like I'm like in the world when I'm doing it, and it's recapturing the sort of feeling, the spirit of you get when you're playing the game. You know.
Yeah. Awesome. What is it about the series that makes you feel like that? What do you think it is? How would you explain it to someone who maybe isn't familiar with the Streets of Rage games, with the universe? What do you think captured your imagination back then and still does to this day?
I think, like, you know, it's like people say when you're playing the game, it's like you're playing a story. It's like it's moving along, and then the music kind of goes with it, and it's like, and you can just put all of your like aggression and or you're like, you take your rage out on the punks on the screen, and it's really satisfying with the music in the background and stuff. And I think like that feeling that you're getting there, especially when you pull off like a combo, it's really satisfying. You knock everybody down, or you beat a boss, or whatever. You know, it's just like capturing, and also the story, because there is a vague story to the games. It's never been really important to, because the main focus of it is the gameplay.
Yeah.
But I just felt like, I don't know, I wanted to bring it to life, make it into a more interesting and more, I don't know, more movie-like story, imagining it in, you know, as if it was like something that was happening in real life.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I can think of, I think music is, at least for me, music and the soundtrack is always important in games. But if I had to pick one series that really the music is an integral part of the experience, Streets of Rage would be one of the first ones that came to mind as like, you really can't have one without the other, right? Like,
yeah, it's a beautiful like symphony.
Yeah.
It all comes together.
Yeah.
The gameplay, the music, and just the style of it. The neon streets, you know, and you've got, and it moves on into like robot factories, and then the syndicate strongholds, and all the different interesting characters. They're all pretty visually unique. So it's kind of like a style of its own.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and this. The
The
soundtrack itself was different when it comes to what people were doing in terms of video game soundtracks. It was nothing that people had ever heard. Right? Yeah.
Techno, especially, and then in the third one, they went a bit progressive in that one.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I think they pioneered the dubstep genre with that one.
Yeah. Okay.
It could be said.
Yeah, awesome. So you already mentioned what led you to start this project, Streets of Rage Saga, right? That we can now find at streetsofragesaga.net. But you were also involved in, you were mentioning it briefly before, you were also involved with Streets of Rage Online, the website, right?
Yes.
So was it because of the first novel that was made available there?
Yeah,
that's why.
Because the first novel, I remember this. Yeah, because the first novel was on Streets of Rage Online when the site first started.
Yeah.
But then the owner of that site just disappeared, and it didn't get an update for, I can't remember how many years it was, maybe 2 years by that point. So I launched another website. Because by then I'd done the second and third novels, and I wanted to have them put on the site, but you know, you would never get an email back when you're talking to that guy. So I launched my own website called Streets of Rage Expanded Universe, and that's where I was able to put the second and third novels, and the first one as well, and it just sort of went from there. From there, it grew, and it became, you know, oh, here's my novels to download, and oh, look at this other Streets of Rage stuff. And then after a couple of years, it basically became Streets of Rage Online, like a rebirth of it, because it all looked like the original site and was made, and it became huge. It had everything. It had fan games.
Yeah.
um hacking stuff and ROM hacks, and I put a lot of work into that, and it had a huge forum and community, and people loved it. But after, yeah, I moved to the US, and it became a lot of work to try and juggle that, and also having to like have a full-time job and try to figure out how to live my life in a different country and stuff. And so
Yeah.
I had to give it up in the end, sadly. But it moved on spiritually though. It went to Brawlers Avenue, which is
Yeah.
the fighting community with Mr.
Mr.
Din.
Din, yeah, former guest of the show. Yeah,
He's doing cool in the Street Fighter community and doing his fan game,
yeah. Okay,
which people should check out.
they should. Yeah. Okay, excellent. And so, for people interested in finding out more about your novel, so obviously Streets of Rage saga.net, they can find it there, can find more details there. But let's say people, you want to like give an elevator pitch about this. What is your expanded Streets of Rage universe about? What can people expect if they go into this rabbit hole of how many novels now?
Well, the current count is 12.
Okay.
Like the first, I think it's 9, first 9 or 10. And there's like a reboot story as well. But they were all written before 2014. But the last 3, the first one I wrote in 2021, which was Streets of Rage 4 novelization.
Yeah.
I think newcomers to it probably would start with that one, because they're probably most likely going to be fans coming off the back of Streets of Rage 4. Now it's been out for a few years, and it's been on PS Plus and stuff. Or even just, it's a good entry point, and because it's not a reboot, it's a proper sequel to the last ones. But the way I approached it was like a bit more, because I was a lot older by the time I started writing this one, and so it's just so much better quality, and it ties up all the events in the previous stories with the like game canon events in Streets of Rage 4, and I do it in a really nice way, and it's a lot more adult. And while I was writing it, I was actually aware of it being like a novelization of a video game instead of like a mind passion thing.
Okay.
But tying all that stuff together and making a final product of that was like really, really good. And then there was a sequel, The Sentinel, and the third one, Prometheus Shadow, my most recent ones. I think that's like it could be a standalone trilogy, but and you could then go back and read the original complete saga as like a backstory to that if you wanted to, I guess. Because in my opinion, the earlier ones are not quite as up to scratch, but that's how it works.
Well, you grow up, you evolve, right? So it makes sense. Exactly. It makes sense.
The next one will be even better, I'm sure.
Yeah. How do you, have you ever like recently really went back and read the first one, for example? And if so, how do you feel? How did you feel about that?
I was looking at it just earlier, actually, in preparation for this, and I still think it's like pretty good. It's not that bad. It's good because I remember I took a lot of inspiration from like Lethal Weapon movies and X-Files and stuff, and it's all stuff that was around at the time when I was writing it. And so it's fun to read. It gets a bit kind of out there at times, some of the ideas in it. But with I smartly like tied that all up to make sense in the newer ones. So
okay,
it's forgivable.
No, I mean, because when I go back to the first, for example, I've been doing this podcast for like 10 years. Not for like 10 years, for exactly 10 years. We've turned 10 in May. But and other radio shows that I did on Radio Sega as well. When I go back and listen to the first few episodes, I'm like, oh no, this is really bad. This is really bad. So that's why I was asking. Like, sometimes it's hard to re-listen or to reread your earlier works, because we, like we said, we evolve, we hopefully get better. At least we hope. uh, and so it's a little bit hard, but have, and usually I find it myself, I am more critical of my own work than other people's, so I think
Yeah, I'm
it's
definitely my
interesting.
own biggest critic.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Okay, so
Just like, I could, because I think the first story I rewrote it probably about twice, but I don't want to go back and rewrite it again just to make it like it's written better. It is what it is now. Just move on from it and keep going.
it's also like you
With what I
said,
think.
in all those inspirations, the things you took inspiration from, it's also like a portrait of what was like the pop culture and relevant at the time you wrote them,
Right.
right? So it's also
All
like
about
a little bit of a time machine to understand what people were thinking about, what was cool at the time, right?
exactly, yeah. Yeah, it's just a product of its time. And like I say, the newest ones, I've managed to make it seem pretty awesome. I think
Awesome, awesome. Okay, excellent.
that was my goal. It was like, I'm going to write this book, and it's going to be good. It's going to be like the best I can do, and I did. I put everything I had, I put into it.
Okay, how do you find the time, by the way? Because I know you've got a lot going on.
The writing process itself, I actually found pretty easy. I was able to write like the last one, Prometheus Shadow. I wrote that in probably about 3 months. It
Okay.
was completed in about
Hmm.
3 months. It just, I have a job where I'm like, I walk a lot. I'm walking outside a lot. And so I would just be thinking while I was walking around about the story or what could happen next. Just come on, just generally just letting things come into your mind and that. And then if something like hits you, like, oh, that's a good idea.
Okay.
I just get my phone, get to a notepad app and be like, tap that in. And then if I'm taking a break at lunch or something, I'll sit there and I'll just, work on the sentences and reread through it and just make sure it sounds right. And just keep doing that. Like, as I'm doing it at work and still getting the job done and everything.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah,
like
yeah.
slacking off.
If anyone's listening, I'm still
It's
getting my
just a
job
way of
done, so
like,
don't worry. Yeah.
yeah, it's a way of occupying your mind while you're on your own doing your job.
Uh-huh.
It's otherwise you just go crazy, like thinking to yourself all the time. And so yeah, it's like a constructive way of like harnessing your thought energy or whatever. and once and all that text builds up, and then suddenly you find yourself, you've just finished a chapter, and then like on the weekend, on a Sunday or something, I got a bit of free time. I just boot up the laptop, type up everything that I wrote down on my phone, and there it is. And then just keep doing that. And after 3 months, it was a complete 50,000 word novel.
God, that's amazing. Yeah.
It was not that difficult, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's amazing to me. I don't think I would have the drive and the
You have to,
motivation to do this. Yeah. Yeah.
you've got to think hard on it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good distraction.
I bet. I bet. And so you started this at a very, very early age, a long time ago, right? This is a project that's almost as old as the series itself.
I suppose it is.
Right?
Now, yeah.
Not trying to make you feel old or anything, because I'm also an old man at this point. But how do you, looking back at how you felt about this project when you started, and looking at how you feel about it now, and this most recent book, for example, this most recent novel, what changed? Is the passion the same? Has anything changed? Has anything has it grown stronger with time, like your love for Streets of Rage? I don't know.
I think the passion that drives me to do the story it's stayed the same.
Hmm.
It's always been the same. I don't know. It's like a feeling inside me. It's like a passion. And when I was doing the early ones, it was a lot more sort of laborious. It was more difficult trying to like do the writing 'cause I was younger, etc. But with the most recent ones, it felt like the story was just writing itself. I was just like, it was just flowing out of me. It was fun. It was so much fun. I was just enjoying it. I didn't write it to be, you know, read by anyone else. I wanted to. I was writing it for me because at the time when I started doing the Streets of Rage 4 one, I was in quite a sort of dark place, honestly, like mentally and emotionally. And I just suddenly, I remember looking over there one day and like, it was like a lightning bolt. And these ideas in my mind that I'd been like struggling with, anxiety or whatever, over the past few years at that point, all just came together in this idea of how I could do it in a story and adapt the game as a novel. And that's what I focused on, and that's what I did. And it got me out of a really bad depression. And and it was really good, and people loved it. So yeah, I ended up writing another two sequels, I should say.
Hmm. Awesome. Yeah. So it was sort of an escape as well for you.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay. Awesome. That's
I've been doing it for so long now, and I like feel like all the characters, I know them personally.
yeah, I can see that. I can see that happening.
Part of
right?
my personality. I'm all the characters in the story.
You probably know them better than Sega themselves.
Probably, yeah. I know they should employ me.
Yeah, like a consultant. Story consultant.
I could be a consultant. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they have more professional writers that can do it better than me. I'm just some guy that was a kid that was doing his fan fiction.
Yeah,
but you know, I could advise them. Like, I'm doing all the stuff on the Twitter page. People like it, and there's a demand for Streets of Rage. I don't know why they don't, you know, do more stuff, do more games, more merch. There's so much they could do.
Yeah. I was going to ask you that, but later. But since you mentioned that, have you ever approached Sega with your novels or anything? Have you sent them anything? It's like, oh, here's something that I did. No, never.
No, I've always just distributed it myself for free.
Yeah.
Online on a fan site. It's always just been sort of a fan work, really. It's always been my belief that I can't publish it or anything like that because obviously Sega owns the rights to the characters and the IP,
of course.
And
no,
it's just a passion.
But I meant, like, have you ever sent them like, oh, here's something that I did? Take a look. No. Okay.
I'm sure they've already seen
probably
it at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, Yuzo Koshiro has tweeted at me and stuff before.
Yeah.
And I've noticed certain accounts don't interact with my account at all. I don't know, am I an outcast from the professional world?
Probably not. Yeah.
I don't hear from anybody.
Okay.
Well, I did do a Streets of Rage 4 petition once. That was the only time I did the petition online. It was a long time ago. It must have been about 2005, 2006. There was a petition for them to do Streets of Rage 4, and it got a lot of signatures.
Mm-hmm.
But whether that's why the game got made in the end, I'm not sure.
I mean, it's the fan noise is always helpful in making these projects, these series return. For example, Shenmue is a good example of that, right? How the fans.
Yeah, they're doing a TV show of like a game.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much material in Streets of Rage, so much potential. There's so much they could do.
Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit more about that, especially that thing that you just mentioned, like the more games, more material for Streets of Rage. I'm going to ask you some questions about that, but we need to take a break now, Matt, because it's time for something different. Okay. Whenever I have someone on the show, there's a tradition, something I like to call the Sega Lounge Challenge.
Now that you know our guests, it's time to put them to the test. It's the moment we've waited for, and the moment they dread.
Welcome to your doom.
I mean, welcome to the Sega Lounge Challenge.
Okay.
All right.
It's a little game we play, and I had the feeling that you were like a big Sega fan. So what I propose to you is we play a little game of, not a game, like more of like a challenge, the Ultimate Sega Fan Challenge. It's like a challenge with 10 rounds. Some of them are questions, some are rounds to guess music, or the game where the music comes from, and other things. Okay, so it's a little bit varied, but it's fun. It's fun. It's all for, at least for me, it's fun for me. I don't know for the guests, but you know, I'm here to have fun at your expense. I'm kidding. It's fun. It's fun. So this is how it works. So the first round is a question. You can choose between an easy question or a hard question. The goal here of the whole challenge is to get at least 10 points. Okay. You can get up to 20, but 10 is a respectable score, I think. So let's aim for 10. So question number 1, do you want an easy one or a hard one? An easy one gets you 1 point. Hard one, 2 points.
Let's go for an easy one first.
Okay. And this is not just Streets of Rage, by the way. Okay. There might be some Streets of Rage here. No promises, but not just that. Okay. So let's go with an easy one first. That's what you said. Okay. I'm looking at my list of easy questions. Okay. I think this is an easy question. Yeah. So the question is, ready?
Yes.
In Outrun, what brand of cars do you drive?
Lamborghini. Porsche.
It's just one. They're all the same one. But you have to choose one.
Oh, I'll say Ferrari. It's probably wrong.
Could be. I don't know. Why Ferrari? You said Lamborghini, Porsche.
The picture on the cover art looks like one. I don't know. I don't remember seeing the car brand on the arcade screen. I remember the big start sign and the palm trees on each side, and the girl going like that with the flag.
Yeah. Okay.
That's about it.
So no like horse on the car. No like horse logo. No. Like the Ferrari logo.
I don't know. I haven't played Outrun for so long.
Okay, so your answer is Ferrari. Yeah? Final answer?
All right, it's the final answer. Yeah.
It's the final
Fine.
answer. Okay. Your answer is Correct. Yes. Yes. Ferrari is the correct answer. 1 point. Good job. Yeah.
I was not expecting.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, you were like Lamborghini, Porsche. No, don't go there. Let's move away. Okay. Ferrari. Yeah. That's better. That's better. Good job.
Oh, I can't believe it.
Yeah. Good job. Good job. 1 point. So let's go with round 2. Round 2, Matt, is a music round. So I'm going to play 10 seconds of a song, a Sega song, and you can get up to 2 points in this round. If you give me the correct game, you get 1 point. If you give me where in the game the song plays, the name of the level, or if it's like a boss theme or whatever it is, you get another point. So 2 points max.
Okay.
Yeah? Ready for the first song?
I'm ready.
Let's do it.
That is a boss theme from Streets of Rage 4. Which one? It's the final boss, I think. Pretty sure it is. The Y Mecha. Mr. Y, Miss Y. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
So, the 2 things that I need, the game and where it plays. So, the game, you say it's Streets of Rage 4?
It will be Streets of Rage 4.
Okay.
Round 12.
And
It might be used in other parts of the game as well.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's there.
Okay.
Yes,
Final answer?
that's my final answer.
That's your final answer. No doubts about it. You're pretty sure of yourself.
I'm pretty certain.
Pretty certain. Okay. That's what I like to hear. So let's go with the game first. Is it Streets of Rage 4? It is.
Yes.
Yes, 1 point. Good job. Is it the final boss, though, for an extra point?
I don't know.
It's very close to the final boss, but no. No, it's Mr. Y. It's the first fight with Mr. Y before round
I was playing
12.
it the other day as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So this particular version.
As the original.
Yeah, but you were in the vicinity. So good job. But 1 point, 1 point. That's good. 2 points so far. Only 8 left.
Good.
Let's go with round 3. Another question. Easy or hard?
All right, let's go for a hard one then.
Oh, you're feeling brave. Okay.
I'll brave it.
Okay. So let's go with hard. I actually have one that I don't know if it's hard for you, but it's on my hard list. It's a Streets of Rage related question. Known as Uru in the Western version of the game, what is the name of the kangaroo you can fight and unlock in the Japanese version of Streets of Rage 3?
That would be Victi. Final answer. Yeah, I definitely know that one.
You're pretty sure of yourself.
I'd class that as an easy Streets of Rage question. But I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
I think it's just you, but yes. Yeah. I also know it because I've asked this question several times, but not many people know the answer. But good job. 2 points. 2 points. A true fan. Okay.
Yeah, running that website taught me something.
Okay. So 4 points so far. Good job. Pretty good start. 3 rounds done. Round number four is another song. Okay, so you know the drill by now. Game and where it plays. Let's take a listen to song number 2.
I'm pretty sure that's Sonic Mania. and it would be Studiopolis Zone, which is the second level. I think the one with all I think it's got all trumpets and musical stuff as the backdrop. I think.
Act 1 or 2? If we want to be specific, right?
I'll say Act 1. It didn't sound like it was a follow-on like the second ones go. So I'll say Act 1.
All right. Final answer. Yeah.
Yeah, final answer.
Always go with your
Like
gut, right? Don't overthink it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it Sonic Mania? It is. 1 point. Is it Studiopolis Zone Act 1? Could be. Could be. And it is. Yes. 2 points. Well done. You're crushing this.
Yeah.
4, 5, 6 points so far. And we're not even halfway there. That's amazing. That's amazing. So 6 points.
Well,
Good job. Good job. So round 5 is a special round because it's the back of the box round, or the one of 2 back of the box rounds. What is back of the box? Well, I looked at the back of the box of a game. So this is when games had boxes. There were physical games. Yes, kids, that's true. In the past, and what I'm just gonna read you the description of one of these games. It's a Sega game.
okay.
If you need me to, after I read it the first time, I can give you the system this game is for. Okay. This is the UK, the European, the PAL region description of the game. Okay. If it helps.
Okay.
So this is the description. In the mountains of Japan, a lone ninja stands. He has felt the presence of an old enemy once again becoming strong. The ninja's name is Redacted. His enemy is the once defeated Neo Zed, which has a new evil purpose that can only be stopped by Redacted, better known as Redacted. I'm going to read it again while you think.
Okay.
In the mountains of Japan, a lone ninja stands. He has felt the presence of an old enemy once again becoming strong. The ninja's name is Redacted. His enemy is the once defeated Neo Zed, which has a new evil purpose that can only be stopped by Redacted, better known as Redacted.
Okay. It sounds like it's Shinobi 3.
Why?
It sounds... Because it sounds like, you know, a lone shinobi standing there, and you say the return of Neo Zed, or Neo Zed has come back. So that implies it's not the first time around for Neo Zed, which would have been Revenge of Shinobi. Because the first game was Zed, the second one was Neo Zed, and then the third one, Neo Zed comes back. So I'm going to say Shinobi 3 for that. I'm not so familiar with the like Game Gear ports or Master System versions, but if we're talking the 16-bit ones and Neo Zed, then I'm going to Shinobi 3. That's my
The logic is
attempt.
sound. Flawless.
Yeah,
Flawless. Yeah.
That's my attempt at an educated guess on that.
Okay. Okay. I love that. Very, very logical. Okay. Is it right, though? So I'm going to read the unredacted version. In the mountains of Japan, a lone ninja stands. He has felt the presence of an old enemy, once again becoming strong. The ninja's name is Joe Musashi. So, Joe Musashi,
Yes.
is the main character of the Shinobi series. His enemy is the once defeated Neo Zed, which has a new evil purpose that can only be stopped by Joe Musashi, better known as Shinobi.
Shinobi.
But it could be another Shinobi game. You said Shinobi 3.
I did.
And it's correct. Yes! 2 points. Shinobi 3, Return of the Ninja Master.
Ninja Master, yes, another character who is in my novel series.
See? So you do know them. You know these. Excellent. Well done. Well done. Very good. So that's 8 points. 8 points so far. Only 2 more. Okay, but maybe we can get like a high score, a record score here. Round 6, Matt. Ready?
Okay.
It's another song. 10-second long clip. Let's take a listen.
Streets of Rage 2. Round 3. Amusement Park. Is that right?
I don't know. You tell
What do you
me. I'm just listening. I'm just here to listen.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's during round 3. Is it?
What does your gut tell you?
I'm going to say round 3, yeah. My mind just went blank, but I'm pretty sure round 3 is the amusement park.
Okay, so instead of round 3, maybe you can say it's the amusement park. It's the whatever round the amusement park is. Is that your answer?
Yes.
Or is it whatever round 3 is?
I'm pretty sure both. I really should know absolutely certainly at this point.
You were very quick to answer this. It was like round 3, amusement park. Okay. So, first of all, Streets of Rage 2, we've established it is. Yes. 1 point. Good job. So, is it round 3? Is it the amusement park? Is it both? It's both. Yes. It's round 3 amusement park. It's the first song that plays in the round, in the amusement park stage.
Okay, good. Good. I'm not losing it completely.
Well done, and that's 10 points. That's 10 points. So can we get a record score? Maybe. Not many people get past 10. So
Okay.
yeah. Let's go with round 7. It's another question. Easy or hard?
Let's try another hard one then.
Okay.
So
Very
why
good.
not?
Okay, so this is one of my favorites. What is the name of the alien race who are the main antagonists in the Mega Drive Echo the Dolphin games? Games I'm assuming you're familiar with somewhat.
Yes, of course, yeah. Yeah, I could have mentioned that one earlier when you asked me about games I played.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's called the Vortex. And there's the Vortex Queen at the end. The giant head boss.
You're very quick to answer this question. That never happens. Never happens.
I'm well familiar with these games. I spent lots of my youth playing. I used to actually have the level select code that you type in to go to the final fight boss on that game. I used to memorize that.
Okay.
It's gone now.
Okay.
So
I should have asked that question then. You're correct. Yes, it's the Vortex. Yeah, the alien race is the Vortex. Bonus question. Bonus question. No points involved here, but there's a Dreamcast game. Have you played that? The Dreamcast
Oh,
Echo,
the
the Echo, the Defender of the Future.
Defender of the Future. Yeah,
Yeah.
I had that. I believe I have a PS2 copy.
Okay, Dreamcast PS2. Do you know the name of the alien race in that game? It's not the same one.
Oh, yes. And I could probably even do it in the voice of Colin Baker.
Okay.
Before.
That's it. Very good. Well done. The Foe.
Love that. Yeah.
Very good.
That's-
Yeah.
That's neat. Yeah.
Okay. Good job. I need to make this harder till the end. Okay. 3 rounds left. 12 points so far. Let's go with the final song. Okay, for round 8. Let's take a listen.
All right. That's a hard one.
Does it ring any bells at all?
It does. I kind of recognize it. It's obviously like maybe a Saturn game. You can just tell. I don't think I could tell you which one though. It sounds like it could be like the ending of a Sonic game or something. But no. I don't think I know.
You don't lose any points for guessing, so if you want to just like hazard a guess, why not?
Could be anything. Something Japanese that came out on the Saturn. Okay, that's a long list. I don't know. I'll say. It could be anything. I don't know. I'll just say. I don't know. I'll say Burning Rangers. It's probably wrong.
And if it was Burning Rangers, where would it play? Where would this play in the game?
Since I believe I only played that game probably once in the 1990s. I'll say the end.
The ending of Burning Rangers. Okay. That's a very good guess. But it's wrong. Okay, so there's a connection to Streets of Rage. Between this song and Streets of Rage, in a way, by way of Streets of Rage remake, which I'm assuming you probably played at some point. I think maybe
I am familiar with
okay.
it. I've heard it.
So, this is in the soundtrack of Streets of Rage remake, but
Really?
but it's like a version of this, a remix of this is in the soundtrack. But this is actually from Shenmue. It's the Tomato Convenience Store song.
I see.
So it's Dreamcast, not Saturn. But you're right, like the Japanese themed something. Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
Okay. No problem. 12 points still with 2 rounds left. And so the 2 rounds are a back of the box, a final back of the box, and a final question. Okay. So for 2 points, your final back of the box is a US back of the box, actually. Okay. Which are usually the US ones because they didn't have to they didn't have other languages take up all the space. They had a lot of information, a lot of bullet points usually. Yeah. So, and this is the back of the box. This is your description. In all caps, explosive 3D racing second to none. Okay. Sega Saturn's smooth 3D texture mapped graphics create high speed, in all caps, bumper to bumper racing. Realistic redacted car control with drafting, controlled braking, four-wheel drifts, and skillful acceleration. Punishing end-over-end crashes let you know you blew it. CD quality sound recreates the engine noise and thunder of real redacted cars. So once again, explosive 3D racing second to none. Sega Saturn's smooth 3D texture mapped graphics create high-speed bumper-to-bumper racing. Realistic redacted car control with drafting, controlled braking, four-wheel drifts, and skillful acceleration. Punishing end-over-end crashes let you know you blew it. City quality sound recreates the engine noise and thunder of real redacted cars.
Okay, I'm going to say Destruction Derby.
Why?
I'm pretty sure I've owned that at some point because it sounds familiar. So that's Destruction Derby. Yes.
You're very sure of yourself. Destruction Derby, yes. Yes. Let's go.
I kind of got a picture of the box art in my mind.
Okay.
Yeah. For some reason, I remembered it, so I'm pretty sure that's it.
Okay. So, final answer for 2 points.
Yeah, that's my final answer. Yeah.
That's your final answer.
Nothing else springs to mind. So.
Okay. And so, your answer is... Oh, by the way, let me read the unredacted version. So, explosive 3D racing second to none. Sega Saturn's smooth 3D texture mapped graphics create high-speed bumper-to-bumper racing. Realistic stock car control with drafting, controlled braking, four-wheel drifts, and skillful acceleration. Punishing end-over-end crashes let you know you blew it. CD quality sound recreates the engine noise and thunder of real stock cars. I redacted stock cars because maybe it would be a hint at what game we're talking about. And so your answer is incorrect.
Incorrect.
This is Daytona, USA.
Daytona?
Yes. Daytona, USA. It's a lot of information. It may be too technical and very specific, but it is the back of the box, the US back of the box of Daytona, USA on the Saturn. Yeah, unfortunately.
My memory's not what it once was, I guess.
Okay, so that leaves us with one last question. It's the final question, which means it's a hard question. So this time you don't get to choose. It's always a hard question. Okay. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
You're ready. You say that, but are you really? We'll see. Okay.
As ready as I can.
Exactly. Okay. Let's go with this. Let's go classic. Are you familiar with the Bonanza Brothers?
Yes.
Okay. What is the name of the Bonanza Brothers?
The name of the Bonanza Brothers.
They have names.
They have names?
They have names,
They have
of course. They're not animals. They have names.
This is one I don't know.
Okay, so if I can give you options, but I'll take away 1 point. Which would leave you with 13 points, which would be a very respectable score. So I'll give you 3 options in alphabetical order. Option A, Foco and Loco. Option B, Mobo and Robo. Option C, Rolo and Polo. Foco and Loco, Mobo and Robo, Rolo and Polo.
I'll say B, Lobo and Robo.
So B, Mobo and Robo.
it sounds, to me, it sounds the most plausible, but it's probably wrong. It's probably wrong.
For glory, Matthew Drury, you're saying the Bonanza brothers are... So obviously Bonanza is their last name, of course, right? I don't know, maybe. So they're Mobo Bonanza and Robo Bonanza. Are they? Yes, that's it. Yes, it is the correct answer. 1 point, which leaves you with 13 points in the end as your final score, which I have to say doesn't happen very often. Having like more than 10, 12, it's been done. More than 12, it's a rare sight. So good job. And you got some hard ones, some obscure ones here as well.
Yeah.
So very
Got
good
a
job.
bit of gaming knowledge.
Yeah. And that means you get the Sega Lounge seal of approval, which I will send to you after we're done. Congratulations. Awesome. And thank you very much for playing the game.
My pleasure.
Okay. So before we go, Matt, just a couple of questions. You mentioned before the lack of Streets of Rage content. So I have a couple of questions regarding that. So I think you already mentioned liking Streets of Rage 4, but how did you feel when we finally got a 4th game in the series that you love so much?
I couldn't believe it. When they first announced it, I was, followed the news about it. I was really excited. Finally, we're gonna get it. Because it's kind of like the video game I was always just waiting for. Every other game I've played on PC, we had Half-Life and Half-Life 2 and all these other things ever since, but we never got Streets of Rage 4, and so we were finally going to get it. And then when it came out and it was like, the gameplay on it was as good, if not arguably better than the originals, I just was totally happy with it. I replay it all the time, just as much as I replay the originals now. So they did a good job. It was everything I wanted it to be. I kind of felt like I was done with gaming. It was like it finally came out, so it's complete. It is done, But I still play other games.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But this one's special.
Streets of Rage is where it's at, if you ask me.
Okay. Yeah, I remember this was also a very special time in our lives because it was April 2020. So the beginning stages of the pandemic, and it was really something special as well. I remember I got to interview people from the dev team and the publisher as well. It was really, really something special. And that's one of my most played games in the past 4 years as well. From time to time, every like 2 weeks or so, I go back to it on various devices.
You never get bored of playing it. You just want to play it again and again.
Yeah. And the DLC Mr. X's Nightmare, like the whole that's very varied, and there's always a challenge there.
Giving it that survival mode, give it a huge amount of replayability, and having to complete all those star moves in the unlock screen on that. That's a lot of time you've got to put into it, and it's all just a pleasure. I'm still working on that, to be honest.
Me too.
I play story mode. I play survival mode.
Yeah,
it's all good.
Yeah, for sure. Agreed. Okay, but we've had we were without a new game in decades until we got Streets of Rage 4. Surprisingly, or maybe not, last year we heard that there's a new Streets of Rage, a new 3D Streets of Rage coming, right? And so thoughts on that? Thoughts and expectations, Matt, as a big fan, as a huge fan.
Well, obviously, again, once I heard the announcement, I was like, yes, we're doing another one. And it's going to be in full 3D. Could be good. It'll hopefully be good. Yeah, I was like really thrilled when I heard the announcement. Hopefully, because it's going to be 3D this time. It's, a lot of people have reservations about it. Can that core passion of the gameplay transfer into the mechanics of a 3D fighting system? And hopefully it can. I'm sure people talk about the Yakuza series and stuff as examples of how it could work. And just hopefully they've just got a good team, because they've not really said much details about it. We don't really know much about it. And some of the footage on it looks like it's not a AAA game. I personally think that SEGA undervalue the franchise, and they should put more faith into what it is, because I think it's worth them investing plenty of money into to make a good sequel that everyone loves, and keep reinventing it in new ways. So I'm excited to see what they come up with, and hopefully it's being made by a group of passionate people who love the original 4 games, and do a good job on it. I'll be there day one. I'll be picking up the collector's edition, no doubt, and all that.
Okay.
Getting all the merch. I'm ready for it.
I would just love it if they would use the Like a Dragon engine for the 3D, the brawler games, even just like the newest one, like Dragon Gaiden. Just use that same engine for Streets of Rage.
There's plenty of games they can use as inspiration.
Yeah. But they have the engine, they have the systems in place, so it's not too much of they don't need to reinvent the wheel for this next one, I think. Right. Maybe
all they've got to do is kind of come up with an art style.
Yeah.
Do the characters, have familiar looking enemies and settings.
Exactly.
And just tie it through together with some loose story about Mr. X coming back to life.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty much all they need to do.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Okay. And one last thing that I wanted to ask you about. I'm sure you heard the news of a movie being worked on by people involved in the John Wick series. Is that something that you think is going to work? What are you expecting from that as well? Because we haven't heard anything about. I think the news broke out in 2022, and we haven't really heard much about it.
We haven't heard anything since. I wouldn't be surprised if it kind of vaporizes and never sees the light of day. But if they are still working on it, they could probably do a pretty good job on it. It needs to be done visually correct, if you know what I mean. They've got to nail the look of the characters, especially Axel, Blaze, and Adam. I don't know whether it being in live action is a good idea or not. We'll see. I guess.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's always a question, right?
Behind it, I mean, that's a good CV. That's a good resume
for sure.
For doing it, so hopefully somebody throws enough money at it that they can make something really good out of it.
What would you like to see it be or become, if it actually comes to light? That they are really working on it, just hard at work, beginning stages of production.
Well, I don't know if you've seen on my Twitter page all the live action AI generated art and stuff like that. I'm kind of trying to create the whole universe and how it would look. And I think if the movie looked like that, it would feel like a Streets of Rage universe, because I mean, what else is it? It's just the characters from the game. You need to be in a city. There's, they're ex-cops. As long as there's all these elements, they're fighting the corruption in the government and the police force. One night they go to the top of a tower, confront Mr. X. I'm sure it could be made into something pretty awesome. As long as it's got as long as it stays true to the source material.
Okay.
And they've got a really good writer who's going to make it decent, make it with passion, like that movie Dune Part 2. That was a good one.
Okay.
But make it with the same, you can tell that movie's a work of art. It's got to be done right.
Mm-hmm. Are you one of those people that thinks that it has to be set in like the 90s or something to be authentic, or can it be like set in the present days?
I think my thinking on that nowadays is it should be probably set in the year 20XX.
Okay.
Like a sort of beat 'em up year, cutscene year. And just Wood Oak City, fictional city.
But even if they don't like say what year it is, do you think the aesthetic should be like? Because Streets of Rage has a pretty distinct aesthetic, right? So like the neon lights and stuff.
It should have like an 80s, early 90s aesthetic. I think in some of the scenes, like they could go to some nightclub and you could have that kind of imagery there, but they don't have to set it in those times. It might be better from a storytelling perspective if they set it now or even further into the future to explain for all the robots and all that stuff. One of the reasons I set my novels in a little bit into the future, because I had all this technology and it never existed.
Makes more sense. Day, so. Yeah, makes more sense. Okay. Do you think they should because one thing that you do in your novels is you dive deep into the relationships between the characters and stuff, like even like romantic relationships. Do you think that's something that they should do as well with this, or should they just focus on?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
Definitely. Yeah. I think one of the things that made returning to writing the novels, what made it work so well was the core of the story. The core of the story is it's a story of a family. In the first one, it's these characters that had a relationship and got divorced and split up and all that, and come back together. And then in the second one, it was like Axel and his son. It was like the father-son relationship thing. And then in the third one, it was like the family comes together more. So I think with any movie, it has to have a good emotional core to the story because then the rest of it sort of goes on around that. And good movies and stuff, you care about the characters. Mm-hmm. If you don't care about the characters, you don't really care about the film. So
yeah,
I think there should be. It's got to have good actors in it, and have them as people that have had a traumatic background or something, because then it gives the actor or actress something else to do to work with as they portray the character and make it more interesting, rather than just being just like a one-dimensional, emotionless, robot or something.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll see, right? I guess we'll see. I assume we'll see.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll.
Or maybe not.
I'm sure they've got people working on it.
Hopefully, right?
Maybe they do.
Yeah.
Hopefully they do.
But it's like a little bit worrying when we got the news 2 years ago and nothing ever since. But
it would be a bit disappointing, because I was really exciting, and there was Lion's Head's going to be doing it. And then 2 years on, still heard nothing.
Could also be a good idea to try to time it so that both the movie and the game come out together if they somehow can make the story work. The two, or if the game is based on the movie or whatever it is, but even if it's not, if the movie is successful enough, having a game come out at the same time should be a smart business move as well, right? But
I'd say so. Yeah, that would be a smart move, I think, on a business perspective. Have the movie come out, generate interest about the brand, and release the game at the same time. You know, it will be a double whammy
yeah,
for them.
just like they're doing with the third Sonic movie. It has Shadow, and this is the year of Shadow with Sonic X Shadow Generation. So
Game,
makes
there's
sense.
all this stuff to buy. Yeah, they should do the same thing with Streets of Rage.
Yeah,
I've been
sure.
saying it for 30 years now, I think.
Okay. Yeah, but definitely what I'm most curious about is the game. So if even if the movie is not that great, if the game is, I'll be happy. So yeah.
The game's got potential to be excellent.
I think so too.
But
yeah, I think so.
I'm sure it's not that easy to do.
Well,
this is why they get paid for it.
It is for us because we don't have to do it. So yeah, we just have to sit here and just like give our opinions and complain. Awesome. So Matt, it was a pleasure to talk to you. Before we go, so let people know who are listening to us where they can find you. So we've mentioned streetsofragesaga.net. That's where they can find your novels and your content, right? What else?
I'm on Twitter. You can or x.com/SOR online. That's where I post a lot of stuff, artwork related to Streets of Rage and just other general Streets of Rage stuff. I have an Instagram, instagram.com/SOR online. Oh no, the Twitter was wrong. That is, my Twitter is @Saga Streets.
That's it.
Yes,
and the Instagram. Yeah.
SOR online.
SOR online. People will find all these links in the show notes. So yeah, just go there.
Yeah, it's because my website used to be called soronline.net.
Mm-hmm.
That was the website.
Okay, very good.
Now it's a new name.
Well done, well done. So that's it. So anything you'd like to tell the people who are listening and are just finding out about your novels for the first time, what would you say to these potential readers?
I'd say start with the Streets of Rage 4 novelization and its 2 sequels. And then if you're feeling ambitious, go back and read the backstory. And there are other things you can look at from there, but yeah, definitely start with the more newer stories, and just enjoy. Really, they was all just written as a hobby, just as a passion, just to pass the time. It's Streets of Rage. I don't expect anybody to give me any money for it or anything. Just read it, enjoy. And let's keep the spirit of Streets of Rage alive until, somebody finally releases something like a new game.
Yeah, awesome. Hopefully very soon we'll have news on that, right? Yeah. Okay, Matt, thank you very much for coming. I have one final question for you, which is the same that I ask all my guests. So back in the 90s, Sega, especially Sega of America, they said that the Genesis had blast processing that made it better than the competition. So my question to you is, if you could add blast processing to anything in the world, what would it be and why?
Blast processing.
Which is a real thing, of course.
Let's see. Blast processing. I'll just say I'd like to add it to my bank account. That's a good one. Let's add a little blast processing to our bank account.
Blast processing. Yeah.
That's,
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good answer. Let's make it
sounds
happen.
politically. There are other things I could say, but that would be rude.
Okay. Okay. Let's leave it at that then. So let's go with blast processing. Okay, Matt, thank you very much for coming. A pleasure to meet you and to talk to you about Streets of Rage.
Thanks for having me on.
Oh, it's always,
I always enjoy talking about Streets of Rage. So.
Awesome. And for people listening to us, go check out Streets of Rage saga.net and check out all the novels. And go play Streets of Rage, like you said, right? Enjoy Streets of Rage. It's a great series. Yeah.
Keep it alive.
Exactly. Thank you, Matt. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Big thank you again to Matthew Drury. Matt was a great guest. Thank you for coming on the show. Do check out Streets of Rage Saga. You can check it on streetsofragesaga.net, and you can follow Matt and his works on social media as well. All links will be in the show notes. And that's it for this week's show. I'm really excited for future episodes of the show, so be sure to stick around for that. Follow us on your podcast service of choice. Check it out on thesegalounge.com. On YouTube, we have a lot of amazing episodes coming, including some interesting discussions, some special shows that we'll do live. Next week, I'm not really sure if we'll be doing a traditional episode, like in the proper traditional sense, but stay tuned to our social media for an announcement regarding that. There will be content, but probably something a little bit different, so maybe something around our YouTube and Twitch channels. But the week after, we'll return with another episode, so do check that out. We have special guests coming, we have old friends coming back, and a lot of great stuff to, keep you company in the last few months of the year, because we're over the hump. It's August already, and it's amazing to see that the year is going by so fast. But there's a lot of awesome Sega stuff coming, including some interesting games that we'll be checking out. So do stick around and check out our content in the weeks to come. I hope you stay safe out there. I hope you enjoy your week, the rest of the week, and be sure to check us out on our social media for news on our next episode of the show. Thank you very much for listening. Take care. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye. The Sega Lounge, hosted by me, KC, and part of Radio Sega's network of live shows and podcasts. Theme song and incidental music by OSC. Got any suggestions? Drop me an email to podcast@thesegalounge.com. Find us at The Sega Lounge on X, Twitter, and Instagram, at thesegalounge.com on Blue Sky, and be sure to check out our Twitch and YouTube channel for live video content. You can find previous episodes of the show by going to thesegalounge.com, on the Terra Player app, and wherever you listen to podcasts. A Mixed On Productions podcast.